Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Now we're starting to get into the brass tacks of geometry, and we got to start explaining what it's going to look like, and we're going to do it with three simple topics that set us up for the basics. Okay, so first things first, geometry is very vocab heavy. Vocab heavy. So there's a lot of words that you're going to need to get used to. So here are three words right now. Vocab heavy. Here are three words right now. We have segments, rays, and lines. All of those you're going to see a lot of. You also have words like congruent and distance and point and so on and so forth. And you're going to need to get used to all of them. So first things first, the smallest of these pieces is going to be a segment. So that's your segments. Now just bear wait for my mouse to catch up. Next, if you get a little bit bigger, you're going to have a ray. So a ray has only one arrow, all right? And then next, a line is something that has an arrow on both ends. So that's going to be a line. When you're naming these, you are fundamentally using these shapes over your thing. So if we're looking at this one, we can see automatically that that's a line. Okay, fine. We know what we're going to use. We're going to have R, and we're going to have S, and we're just going to put a little baby line on top of it to show that it's a line. And you would read this as line RS. If you really want to be technical, you can also go backwards. You can go line SR. Both of those will be valid. Over here, you can see that we have a segment because we have two very specific end points. So far, so good. Since this is a segment, take an educated guess. We're just going to put a segment on top. Or again, order doesn't matter for this. And we can put a segment on top. Now this one has only one arrow. One arrow is a ray, but here on this one in particular, naming matters. You have to be very careful with your naming because when you look in the software, that's the only option you're going to get. And what's going to happen is you need to match these to your actual ray. So this here is called the end point. What's the end point of my ray here? The letter T. What is the point with my arrow? It's going to be the letter U. So if it tries to tell you UT, it is going to tell you no way that's wrong. You have to go endpoint to arrow, because you're matching the actual symbol that you're doing. Over here, we have two endpoints, so that means it's a segment. So we're going to draw a little segment, and we have P and Q, a happy little segment. Here is a ray. You can tell because it has one arrow mark. And again, end point first. What's the start of this ray? It starts at R and it goes on to S. And then we put a little end point on the top. Next, this one is a line, and this one we can be a little bit looser with. What letters do we feel like using? What order? We'll say UT for, like Utah or something. Next up, this one tends to drive kids a little bit nuts. This is very specifically a DSA question, and there are a couple of things that you need to know going into this. You need, the fancy thing they're going to say in the explanation is 3 non-collinear points in order to name a plane. So in order to name a plane, what you want is you are going to have 3 non-collinear. In modern English, what that means is 3 points that make a triangle. That's what you're looking for. So when you can see here another name for plane X, I need to pick any 3 points here in this little plane to make a triangle. So I'll choose ACF. So plane ACF. Okay, you could also do ABF, you could do FBC, like you have a little bit of freedom here, but the point is that you need to be able to make a triangle. And the technical, again, vocab heavy word is going to be non-collinear. Coplanar, planar, means they are on the same plane, the same way that collinear means that it is on the same line. So if you're looking for plane A and you're looking for points that are coplanar, you have B, C, and F. B, C, and F. The other thing to keep in mind is so long as the lines intersect. They're lucky here because you have EB and you only have one option, which is AC. That's the only one that intersects. And now there's that word again. Collinear means same line. So C is on the same line as what point? We have two really good choices. I'm going to choose A. Over here, next problem, new verse, same as the first. So distinct points that are coplanar, coplanar meaning same plane. So there's A. Let's do BFC, B, F, and C. Another name for plane X. So to name a plane, we need three non-collinear points. In other words, 3 points that make a triangle. We'll say ACF. ACF. Isn't that exactly what I wrote in the other one? ED is distinct with and intersects with, let's see here, AC, AC, and then something and C are points that are collinear. So there's C. We have a couple of good choices. I'll choose A. Isn't this the same thing? Oh my God, it's the same thing. These screen grabs, man. But that's what you're looking for this particular topic. Again, not at all subtle, DSA topic. Keep an eye out for it. Now, the next one, before I even show you it, you're going to have a few definitions. Because again, vocab heavy. You want these in your notes. I'm going to leave myself blank for a couple of seconds so you have the time to hit pause and write this down in your notes. All right, welcome back. Hopefully some of these should start looking familiar. We talked about coplanar and collinear. Let's see here. Congruent means the same shape and size. If you're looking for a little bit more common parlance, you're going to say that it is the same in every way. Back in the pencil paper days when I was teaching this, that was the best way to explain it to kids, is that congruent means the same in every way. A line segment is just defining a segment. Parallel lines are two lines that never intersect. We know that from last year. Perpendicular lines that form at right angles. Just so you know, these two words, parallel and perpendicular, have symbols for them. So an upside down T means perpendicular. An actual set of parallel lines means parallel. Circle is a set of all points. That one you should be familiar with. An angle is formed by two rays that share an endpoint. That's what you're looking to do. And again, when you're doing these topics on paper, sometimes drawing out what they're saying will help you. And then definition, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we're ready. This is ultimately a matching game. So lines that belong on the same plane, there's the key phrase. I don't even need to read the rest. The answer for this is going to be coplanar, assuming my mouse will catch up. All right, having exactly the same shape and size, that is congruent. And I should also let you know while we're talking about this word, this has a very specific symbol for it as well. That is an equal sign with a squiggle over it. So let me add this up here. This is an equal sign with a squiggle over it. Set of all points that lie the same distance from a single point. This is a circle. And then belonging on the same line, that is collinear. Collinear. So all it is a matching game for this. Set of all points that lie at the same point, so that's a circle again. Intersecting lines that form right angles, that's perpendicular. Perpendicular, which is known by an upside down T. Having exactly the same shape and size, that's the symbol for it, and the word for it is congruent. And then two rays and an endpoint, that is an angle. And that one also has its own symbol. Now, in the software, they can be practical with it, and they can just actually make a little angle symbol. People who have actual handwriting, like Ms. Dubois, my angles don't really look like angles. So what I tend to do is I'll make a less than symbol, and then I'm going to draw a little arc on it. So when you see this in future videos, that's the symbol for an angle in Ms. Dubois handwriting. That way, visually, I know exactly what this is and that this is an angle symbol. And this comes from the old construction days when you're working with a compass and a straight edge. So I believe that is everything for geometry in terms of getting you guys all the basics. Now that we're comfortable with basics, we're going to talk about specifically this: segments, rays, and lines. We want to get used to how we set them up, how we measure them, and how we find distance. Once that's done, then we can talk about angles. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. See you in the next one.